Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're flipping the script. Instead of just walking through the theory like usual, we are going to test our mastery of the course material. Think of this as the ultimate knowledge check. It's a high-energy review designed to really lock in everything we've learned about strategic management and policy. So, get ready because we're going to challenge our recall, our critical thinking, and our ability to apply these concepts in real time.
Okay, let's dive right in. We've got 5 distinct levels to conquer today: strategy fundamentals, analyzing the environment, strategy formulation, organizational culture, and finally, ethics and decision-making. Starting things off with Level 1, Strategy Fundamentals.
This 4-step strategic management process brilliantly illustrates the engine behind, well, everything. It's a continuous cycle. We kick things off by understanding the organization's current strategy and performance. Next, we scan both the internal and external environments, really hunting for those opportunities and threats. Then, we formulate the strategy, deciding exactly what our next moves are going to be. And finally, we implement that strategy. It's a continuous loop, right? Because the market literally never sleeps, and neither can your strategy. Keep this cycle in the back of your mind, because every single thing we cover today plugs straight into this process.
Moving right along to Level 2, Analyzing the Business Environment.
All right, here's your first real challenge. Which process handles uncertainty and ambiguity while managing the execution of strategic plans? Take a quick sec to pause and ponder that. What is the specific mechanism leaders use when the road ahead gets incredibly foggy? Is it A, financial auditing, B, strategic control, or C, scenario inspection? Don't let the corporate jargon trip you up here. Lock in your answer. Got it? Well, if you went with B, strategic control, you hit the nail on the head. Awesome job. You know, what's really fascinating about this definition is how incredibly specific it is. Unlike your standard everyday management protocols, which deal with, predictable routine metrics, strategic control is a highly specialized form of management. It exists entirely to handle extreme uncertainty and ambiguity at different points in the control process. Think about it. When a multi-year strategy suddenly collides with a global supply chain crisis, standard management just won't cut it. Strategic control is exactly what's used to steer the ship through the storm.
All right, leveling up. Level 3, Strategy Formulation and Choice.
Let's see how this translates to real-world growth. This next one is going to test your true grasp on how to scale a business efficiently. So, which of the following provides the absolute best opportunity for achieving economies of scale? Just remember what economies of scale actually means. Driving down costs by increasing your overall production. Are we looking at A, market development, B, product development, C, foreign direct investment, or D, vertical integration? Be careful here. Try not to get distracted by options that sound super impressive but actually demand massive, expensive reinvestment. Do you have your pick?
The answer is A, market development. Give yourself a mental point if you saw right through those distractors.
Let's actually break down why the other choices are incorrect. Product development, which means creating entirely new products, demands really heavy R&D costs. Foreign direct investment and vertical integration, both of those require massive capital expenditure to buy up supply chains or build huge factories overseas. But market development? That simply means taking the exact same product you're already making and selling it to a totally new demographic or geographic region. You're driving massive volume on the exact same assembly lines without adding new R&D costs. That, for sure, is the best way to achieve pure economies of scale.
Next up, Level 4. Organizational culture and structure.
Time to test our knowledge on cultural tools. Here we go. Which of the following is not a good use of the cultural web? Heavy emphasis on the not here, folks. We're hunting for the fake application.
Here are your options. A, to determine if culture supports change. B, to measure employee satisfaction. Or C, to compare pre- and post-change states. One of these is literally an entirely different department's job. What do you think?
If you guessed B, you nailed it. The odd one out is providing a measure of employee satisfaction.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that the cultural web is an analytical tool. It maps out the paradigm of an organization by looking at the stories, the symbols, the power structures, and the daily routines. We use it to indicate whether a strategic change is going to be acceptable and if the current culture can actually support the business aims. What it is not is an HR happiness survey. You can actually have a highly aligned cultural web that completely supports a ruthless, aggressive strategy where employees are actually quite stressed out. Remember, alignment does not necessarily equal satisfaction.
And now, the final round. Level 5, ethics and decision-making.
Here it is, the ultimate knowledge check question. Let's see if we remember our ethical frameworks from the course. What is the recommended model for evaluating multiple ethical categories simultaneously?
Would you use A, the 4C strategic model, B, the 5P model, or C, the plus model? Take just a few seconds, search your memory, and lock it in.
All right, the final correct answer is C, the plus model. Absolutely incredible job if you ran the board today. The plus model is totally essential because it helps leaders weigh complex moral responsibilities across multiple categories, like policies, legalities, universal values, and self-reflection, all at the exact same time.
But how do we actually apply this stuff in real life? To ground these basic steps of strategic and ethical decision-making, let's just think about choosing a restaurant. Step 1, define the problem. Hey, I'm hungry. Step 2, gather data. Well, there are 5 restaurants in the area. Some are fast food, some are sit-down, and one is super expensive. Step 3, formulate your options based on constraints. In this case, maybe you don't have a ton of cash on hand, so that really expensive option is out. I know, it sounds incredibly basic, but whether you're just deciding where to grab lunch or figuring out how a Fortune 500 company should respond to a massive crisis, you absolutely must strictly follow this process. Define, gather, formulate. If you skip steps, you're going to make a compromised choice.
And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. As we take all this strategic knowledge out into the real business world, we are inevitably going to face tough decisions. So I want to leave you with this provocative question. When the pressure is really on, when your strategy is challenged to its core, will your own internal compass be tougher than what the public expects of you? Or will you be tempted to just say, hey, I can get away with this? Strategy, at the end of the day, is about the choices you make when nobody else is looking. Let's keep that compass calibrated. Thanks for joining me on this knowledge check.